house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Yeah, there you go, people. Some me and Bareface were... It's one of these things I kind of wish that we could do the Instagram behind the scenes. We're both crying, you know. I don't know. You want to get on screen? Put yourself on. Sure. Hey, everybody. So that song, I Will Be Here, Randall and I had that at our wedding.
Yeah, we did. And we had a friend of ours who, I don't know if she still does at the time, she taught sign language to the deaf-blind. And she signed it in ASL, American Sign Language. You know, I will be, well, I can't put it all on my little box, but right. Good thing because I'd probably say something wrong in sign language, but it's pretty funny. That made it all the more powerful. It was while we were doing our personal communion. And anyway, so that song going, and she signed to it. And I can't remember who it was that asked us afterward and said, "Is she deaf?" I was like, yeah, no. That's how she was able to do it in perfect time with this song. And, yeah, it's a great song. And we were looking at Stephen Curtis Chapman. Likes to use all three of his names, I guess.
So do I.
True. Anyway, we saw a video of him performing on the Dove Awards in 1991. Looked like he was in his early 20s, had a mullet going on. And, you know, it was introduced as the song that he wrote for his wife, Mary Beth. And so she's Mary Beth. It's a Southern thing. Stephen Curtis, Mary Beth, Stacy Lynn, and, Jim Bob.
I was born in the North, though.
Yeah, anyway, but went in the South.
So why are you tearing up?
Just thinking about, because what we're going to get into with this first story when we get to it, after you do the greeting stuff. Oh, you know what I forgot to do?
Oh.
I forgot to launch the ticker there.
There you go.
There we go. As you greet people and all that, we get started here. But the first story we're going to get into, because I'm going to look at some scripture that, a couple weeks ago, we looked at Weekends in the Word. And I saw it in a new way. I mean, I was taken, but just in a deeper way. I saw it, looking at the background and thinking of, considering the life of Yeshua from a Messianic Jewish perspective.
Yeah. And
especially a rabbinic perspective, and anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah. So I'm crying because, 27 years ago, next month, Randall and I will have been married, actually, in a church and holy matrimony, and literally...
Holy matrimony.
I know. Holy, yeah, I know, right? But I don't know about you, but I was thinking about, first of all, the church was packed, about 300 people, right?
Yeah. Most of them not directly invited.
And mostly not believers. And we had so many people tell us that our wedding was one of the best ones they ever went to. And I'm going to tell you, it was a shoestring budget. Yeah. It really was. But the
Lord was glorified, I think, in it.
Yeah, he was. And the thing that I was thinking about was, number one, we're 27 years older.
Yeah, we are. The mirror tells us we're older.
It does. And, I was thinking, what we're thinking about doing is getting our actual wedding video that we had made. It was really bad. I mean, comparatively, our wedding photos are...
That is on digital tape.
Relatively horrible, but here's the thing. We were thinking about hopefully getting some of that, and it would be neat to be able to play some of that on our anniversary, or at least near it. But I was thinking about the different things that you go through. The longer you've been married, not only husband and wife get older
Guess what
together,
digital tape is just, but it is tape.
but not only are you getting older together and you're kind of you're watching each other get older and you're watching yourself get older, but there is an intimacy in marriage that only happens as you get older.
Yeah.
You know, and the devil who exists is trying to destroy this institution with everything that he has, and he is doing a darn good job of his marketing. I will tell you, the marketing of evil is rampant.
Cut to you.
Yeah, and anyway, and so tonight what we're going to do, our show is we have a lot of marriage issues to talk about. And if you're new to this show, that little MS over there, that's a Master's of Science degree in Clinical Psychology. I'm a marriage counselor. You want me to turn something up?
I want you to move your microphone cord, because...
Which one?
Well, the one on the microphone, because you're rubbing against it, and it's...
This one?
Well, let me... Hold on here.
Okay. Well, okay. Wait, hold on, people. My husband's gonna rescue me. Dun 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 dun. Did you do it yet?
Let's tighten this up. Yeah, it's still slipping down. Oh well.
Yeah, it did. Okay.
It is what it is.
Okay, so anyway, before the show, Randall even told me how to pronounce certain words so that hopefully I say them correctly.
Well, thanks.
Well, no, it's help. I mean, it's a good thing. Because you
Well.
guys know I mess up something every show. I mean, that's,
you know,
you
I
know,
was
part of the
trying to-
charm of who I am. You
Trying
want me to
to-
move this up? I'll hold it.
Whatever.
Anyway,
What happened to your... I don't know.
my split personality? Wait, am I leaning to the left or the right? Just saying. Okay, there we go. Wow, and the line is gone for a minute. Anyway, people, so as I was saying, I'm a marriage counselor, okay, by training and by employment at one point. And so I have a real passion for this issue, you know, just saying I spent 13 years in college and 5 years doing training to help people in their marriage, you know, and I understand what it's like to struggle in marriage and to deal with marriage issues. And so it's bad enough that we have the normal marriage issues we all have to deal with. But when you have someplace like the American Psycho Association, and I really mean that in the most snarky way possible, trying to undermine marriage even more, you know, I just have to tell you about it. So before we get into the article, though, let me just say hi to everybody. Is anybody on YouTube?
I see 5 that are watching.
All right, 5 people on YouTube. Yeah, our YouTube audience is growing. Yeah, it is. Thank you, people, for tuning in on YouTube. So 6 now. I wonder if that 6th one is me. It might be. Anyway, so if you are there on YouTube and you feel like you want to say hi with your name, then I'll shout you out. I see Melanie over there, and I'll see another Galaxy Weird Fun person. I don't know who you are, but thank you for coming in. And of course, over on Periscope, I see some of our great people over there, Danielle and Natasha. Melanie she likes both places, Melanie does.
And Angie's on
Mia.
YouTube now.
Who?
And Forrest is there.
Oh, yeah, cool. And Jay, Edgar. I don't know who you are. Do I know you? Yeah, I do.
I think it's Barb.
That's Barb. Yeah, hi, Barb. And Beth is there. Odessa, Battle, Sharon and James and Heather and all of that. So great. Hey, you know, during the show, if you have any comments or questions, always feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll get to them as soon as we can. If we don't, it's not because we hate you. It's just because maybe we didn't see it or something. And I would be curious to know also if you actually can tell us where you're at, like the country or state you're in, you know. Don't be snarky and say stuff like confusion.
Yeah, state of confusion or...
Okay, here's just a little personal note before we get into the story. Okay, you guys know I have plantar fasciitis, right? Okay, I already shared that fun story with you. Yep. Walking on these. Sunshine, people. It's sunshine. My podiatrist recommended Crocs, right? Crocs. And of course, I asked my friends. Yeah, my friends. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think of Crocs? And what do I get, people? But a whole bunch of snarky responses, mostly from men, about crocodiles. Hello. You know, it's like the internet brings out, like, all of us, actually. Anyway, so I want you to weigh in on that as well. If you've ever wore Crocs on your feet, let me know. Okay.
And we've got Dearborn is staying in the house.
Yeah, we do.
Well, it's the great state of Texas.
That's Barb. And Forrest is there. Now, Forrest has actually been watching us for a long time. Yeah. Actually, I think Forrest listened to us on Blog Talk Radio way back in the day. Yeah, I believe so.
The years fly by anymore, so.
Mia has some Crocs. All right. Well, you're smart. You're a Lifeline paramedic. You like them? Okay, you don't like them. Hey, we have people that like them and don't like them. And, of course, Beth is in Adelaide, Australia. And it looks like Tom Cat is at Britain, the flag. I'm not, just so you know, I'm older, so my eyes will go like this. Yeah, they will. Anyway. All right. Hey, everybody. Okay, great. So let's talk about the American Psychological Association for a moment, or two, or three, or four. There's an article over on One News Now. I'm going to read that first, and then we're going to look at the other things. Some of this might be repetitive, but it's important that you understand and hear the perspective that it's coming from. This article was published yesterday, July 12th, 2019, and it says, the professional association that bowed to pressure from the homosexual activists during the 1970s is now advocating adultery, yeah, it is, among married couples. Lori Higgins of the Illinois Family Institute suggests no one should ever consider the American Psychological Association as a legitimate source again, citing the push for, quote, consensual non-monogamy from a group of lesbian and homosexual psychologists. Let me just say that again, okay? Because just like the organization BeforeYouAct.org is trying to rename pedophiles minor attracted persons, now we have things like, shacking up and having an affair, which is really adultery and fornication, being now referred to as consensual non-monogamy. Think about that for a minute. Let it really sink in, people. Yeah, okay. Anyway, according to Higgins and IFI, the Illinois Family Institute, an APA group known as Division 44, founded in the 1980s, formed a task force advisory board last year that examined consensual non-monogamy in the interest of relationship diversity, and has now released its findings. Consensual non-monogamy is a professional euphemism for adultery and infidelity. Reading from the task force conclusions, Higgins tells One News Now that LGBT group aims to promote awareness and inclusivity about what it calls diverse expressions of intimate relationships. According to the task force, wait a minute, hold on, I just gotta say something because it's gonna drive me nuts. Okay, so diverse expressions of intimate relationships. Just so you know, I know I'm an old fogey. I'm 50. Oh my gosh, I've been around 5 decades. If you're married, like one man to one woman, you're married, guess what? You're only supposed to be intimate with that person. Just so you know, people. Just saying. It's like man and woman. Marriage. You come together and that's it. Nobody else. There's nothing there. There should be nothing. No pornography. No threesome with anybody. None of that stuff. But these knuckleheads want to call it diverse expressions of intimate relationships. According to the task force, these include but are not limited to people who practice polyamory. Polyamory. There you go. And in my head, I was saying it totally wrong. So thank you, Bareface, for saving me. Polyamory, open relationships, swinging relationship, anarchy, and other types of ethical, non-monogamous relationships. Such a liberal view of sex and relationships didn't happen overnight. The American Psycho Association was on board in the 1970s when the similarly named American Psychiatric Association, bowing to pressure, dropped homosexuality from its diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. It had been included as a mental disorder in the very first DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, published in 1952. According to the Human Rights Campaign, the homosexual lobbying group, the ruling, quote, helped shift public opinion, marking a major milestone for LGBTQ equality, unquote. And we've talked about this a million times on this show. Now, 45 years later, the push from the task force of university professors, licensed therapists, activists, and writers is to defend and legitimize polyamory. Yeah, I did. I said it right. I said it wrong in my head inside, but outward it came.
I guess you're reading from some other article.
The One News Now article. That's what I'm reading from.
Okay, well, you sent the Illinois Family.
I was going to read from that one next.
Okay.
Anyway, it says here, the task force members and their controversial contributions are listed here, thanks to Higgins and IFA. Citing the task force's own publications, Higgins says Division 44 is using the same tactics used in the 1970s and most recently for transgenders, which is to claim people who oppose its views are bigoted and intolerant. So if you oppose polyamory...
Amory.
That's what I meant. Polyamory, then you're a hater and a bigot, people. Yeah, you are. If you oppose that, good for you. I'm so glad, and I'm glad you're a bigot. Just saying. Anyway, it says here, the task force even has, quote, research, unquote, about its proponents suffering discrimination for their views. According to Higgins, however, the latest opinions from Division 44 open the door to the destruction of the traditional family and to marriages in particular. We know that the only criterion left is consent, she observed. So if people consent to something, no matter how deviant, no matter how it undermines human dignity, it's ethical. And think about this. If people decide to consent that this is fine, then think about this. NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, whose unspoken motto is sex before 8 or it's too late. Their whole goal is to lower the age of consent so that adults can have sex with children. Because see, adults can coerce children and convince them that it's okay for them to do what they're doing with the children, and then they can call it marriage or whatever hell else they want to call it. Yeah, I did. I said the word hell. Okay, just saying. This should make you upset. Not to the point of getting high blood pressure, but to the point of you going, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal, people, when a marriage is being redefined by deviants. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but homosexuals, lesbians, bisexuals, etc., they deviate from the norm. Right? They're little teeny weeny little percentage of the population, and the normal heterosexual population dominates. And yet this little dinky percentage, for some reason, we've given all of the power to. And that's not how God created it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, that is not how God created marriage. So over on the Illinois Family Institute website, there's a little bit more info about this. So I'm going to read a little bit more about this so you can hear more. Because why not, people? All right, it says here, in a quest to normalize polyamory. Is that right?
Yes.
Polyamory. American Psychological Association loses all credibility. All right. Okay. I'm going to try and make this bigger so I can read it easier. All right. No one with an iota of integrity, a morsel of morality, or pittance of professionalism should ever cite the American Psychological Association again. Why not, you may be wondering? Well, the APA has a special area called Division 44, kind of like Nevada's Area 51, for all you UFO junkies out there. Division 44 is also called the Society for the Psychology of Sexual Orientation and Gender Diversity, or SPSOGD for short. Division 44 was founded in 1985 by a group of pioneering LGBT psychologists and their allies, and one of its primary purposes is to, quote, promote the development and delivery of affirmative psychological services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, and gender nonconforming and queer people. Male and female is so much easier, just so you know. In the service of this purpose, last year, Division 44 formed a task force on consensual non-monogamy in recognition of relationship diversity, which intersects with sexual gender identities in interesting ways. Consensual non-monogamy is a euphemism for adultery, sexual infidelity, or polyamory. Did I say it right? Okay. I don't know what it is about this stupid word that I keep messing up, but whatever. Anyway, leftists must paint sexual immorality with a glossy finish if they're going to deceive people and advance their socially destructive ideology. And make no mistake, the CNM task force is hell-bent on advancing their ideology using precisely the same tactics that homo activists and trans activists used. They're portraying polyamorous and other sexually unfaithful persons as victims, and cultural disapproval as an unmitigated evil, known in the dystopian progressive world as, quote, discrimination. There is clearly a stigma attached to practicing consensual non-monogamies. Forthcoming research by Ryan Witherspoon, PhD, a project lead of the CNM task force, indicates that more than half of CNM identified individuals have experienced anti-CNM discrimination in some form, despite frequently concealing their CNM practices. This is insane, people. Do you know how hard it is to read this? I mean, not only is it just hard for me to read it, but it's just ridiculous. And then it goes on to say here, according to the APA, quote, Division 44's Consensual Non-Monogamy Task Force promotes awareness and inclusivity about consensual non-monogamy and diverse expressions of intimate relationships. These include, but are not limited to, people who practice polyamory, open relationships, swinging, relationship anarchy, and other types of ethical non-monogamous relationships.
What kinds are those? Which non-monogamous ones are the ethical ones?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I will tweet it out if you'd like. So here's the point. The point. All right, just out of curiosity, how many of you think this is insane, people? I'm just curious if you think it's insane. I kind of think it's insane. You know, I do. I mean, years ago, I did a workshop for children at a Christian school convention where I was talking about the LGBT lobby and how insane it was that they were redefining the terms and taking out male and female, and which is why in a few minutes we're going to share with you a video from Matt Walsh when he was speaking at I forgot where, it's the Young Americans thing or something. But anyway, talking about how the whole transgender movement, really how when a man says he feels like a woman, how that really actually is an attack on womanhood, and how in the heck do we even define a woman? Now, just so you know, though, I happen to be a woman. Hopefully I present that way. I have makeup on, I have long, beautiful, flowing, graying hair. Yeah, I do. I have eye makeup on, people. I have the girly features. Yeah, I do. I think I look pretty good, I think I pass pretty well for a woman, just so you know. And men who pretend to be women, they're ugly, just so you know. They are some of the ugliest people on the planet, and I mean that. I really do mean that. I mean it I don't mean it figuratively. I literally mean it literally, that when a man tries to look like a woman, he is ugly, because he isn't a woman. He is a man. Just saying. If that happens to be you, bless your little heart. All right, I know Randall wanted to weigh in on the marriage thingy, though. So, Bareface, Take it away. By the way, Bareface would look really ugly as a girl, just so you know. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, Wood, I'm going to bring up some scripture we looked at a couple weeks ago, if you were parts of the Weekends in the Word, when the weekends we were doing this strictly Bible study. But there was something that really stood out to me last time looking into that. Now I need to find, okay, there we go. All right. Mark's Gospel also covers this, but in Matthew chapter 19, verse 3, we read, "Some Pharisees came to Jesus, testing him and asking, 'Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all?'" Well, how is this a test, you may be wondering? Well, it's a test because at the time there were two schools of thought. There was the Pharisees were all about, and the scribes were all about the law, and not just the Mosaic law, but the interpretation of it and the commentary of it that had been passed down through the ages. And there was one school of thought who looked at the prescription in the Mosaic law that if a man finds any uncleanness in his wife, he should write her a certificate of divorce. And so, well, what does that mean, any uncleanness? Well, the traditional school of thought looked at it as, marital infidelity. Uncleanness because she's out with other men. It's, infidelity, adultery. And that is a reason for divorce. Others looked at it, were really liberal with their interpretation, saying that, if she doesn't cook your food right, or, she doesn't present herself well, then, let her go, write her, certificate of divorce. And so there are the two schools of thought. I think the sort of majority rabbis were Hillel and Akiva, or Akiva, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, so there's a little division among them. And plus, at this time, they were in Herod's jurisdiction, who had just married his brother's wife. It was an adulterous thing. She left her husband, his brother, and anyway. And so they're looking to get him in trouble talking about marriage. So they ask him, "Hey, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all?" Let's go back to the text here so you don't have to look at my face.
Aw, I like your face.
Oh, well, thank you. But I want to have the scripture up here, really. Any reason at all. And so, he's going to say something that's going to tick half of them off, or it's going to be back to Herod, who had John thrown into prison when he mentioned something about, when he said to Herod, "It's unlawful for you to have your brother's wife." Herod had him thrown into prison, John the Baptist. Anyway, so it's a test. They're setting him up. He's got to say something that's going to tick somebody off and get him in trouble. So Jesus answered and said, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female? And he said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh," reminding them what it says in the scriptures in Genesis. And so the whole thing is, as I got it, stood out to me for the first in a new way. While they're say, "Well, this rabbi says this and this rabbi says this, what do you say?" And he's like, "Well, the way I take it is, hey, stop thinking about it in human terms, what this guy says or this guy says. Because marriage is not a human institution to be interpreted by human interpretations. And this person's interpretation of the law versus that person's interpretation of the law. And look at this circumstance versus this circumstance. And reasoning out from a humanistic perspective what to do with this institution of marriage as if it was a human institution. But no, he made them male and female, and for this reason, the man shall leave his father and mother, be joined to his wife, and the two, not 3, 4, even 1, is 2. Mm-hmm. A male, and his wife, male and female, you can look up the Greek Very specifically, they're biologically male and biologically female. And the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, this is not a human institution. Let no man separate. So, they're coming at it from a humanistic point of view. And he says, wait a second. Let's get this in perspective. This is something God has joined together. Well, why has he joined it? Because he made them. He made them male and female. A man and his wife. The one who created human beings as male and female should be able to set the rules for their relationships, especially their sexual relationships. And the one who created the male and female said the two shall become one flesh, and what God has joined together, let not man separate. So any way you want to do it, you want to separate it, based on this circumstance or that circumstance. What about this? What about this? What about the consensual non-monogamous? What if it's two one? No. God made them male and female, and he said the two, man and his wife, they shall become one flesh, and what God has joined together, let not man separate. So what I got from this, he's telling the Pharisees, you're arguing about this rabbi versus that rabbi. Let's get things put in proper perspective. It's God who created them, male and female. He said this, and he joined it together. Let not man separate it. If you want it to work right, if you want it to be successful, then you've got to do it on God's terms. He made us. He made us male and female, and he's the one who set the terms of what human sexuality should be. So there.
And it's interesting just to throw out, and that was awesome, Bareface. Yeah, it was.
Well, it's his word.
Yeah, but here's one of the myths out there. One of the myths, people, is that that there's this 50% divorce rate among all marriage. That is such a lie. And that is a quote that it's research that has been quoted for years, that 50% of Christians that get married get divorced. And that is a lie. It is a lie. Actually, there has been other research that debunked George Barna's research that stated that actually shows that when you get people to define themselves truly biblically, that it's usually about a 10 to 15, maybe at the very high end, 20% divorce rate among Christians who actually hold a biblical worldview. And you know what? It drives me crazy because I know more Christian marriages that have been, very long marriages than I do secular, And there are reasons why people divorce, right? God hates divorce. We don't talk a lot about it, but it's true. God does hate divorce, and there are specific rules he put in Scripture for remarriage, okay? Which I know we don't even enforce that or talk about it much, but there are reasons for it. And of course, God loves us and stuff. He doesn't do anything but like what Randall's highlighting for me right now. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. Yeah. So this whole idea of what these knuckleheads are trying to do with non-consensual or consensual, whatever it was that we just talked about.
Consensual non-monogamy.
Which is insane, people. It's just insane. That's why I have a hard time, even saying it, because it's insane.
I wonder when we're going to come up with some... I wonder when we're going to come up with some euphemism for, premeditated murder. I don't know.
I don't know, but what I can say is that it's completely insane, And in going back to last night's show, when we were talking about, Galatians chapter 5, when you read the whole chapter of Galatians 5, Paul is talking about circumcision and different things, but then in verses 19, 20, and 21, he talks about the fruit of the flesh. And then in verses 22 and 23, he talks about the fruit of the Spirit. So let me ask you, is this advocating from the American Psychological Association, basically advocating for you to be able to be married, but oh wait, why don't you guys just consent that you can go and screw other people outside of your marriage? Is that in line with the Word of God in the fruit of the Spirit? No, it's not, people. It falls into the flesh. And you know what? We don't talk about that much in the church. We don't talk about the real struggle with the flesh. A lot of times people will talk about, well, the devil made me do it. I was tempted. All right, okay. That is true, and it's not a sin to be tempted. The Bible says to resist the devil and he will flee from you, right? But it also says to crucify your flesh, to deny your flesh, which God gives us the power to do. The problem is that you have to take some personal responsibility in that, and people don't want to do that. Especially in this culture where people will just blame everybody and their grandmother for something that they did wrong. And I just can tell you this from a personal perspective. If you're ever in a relationship with me and you act like a victim, you won't be in one with me very long. Or you will hear from me that I won't hear it because I don't put up with that. I don't have time for people who are whiners and who won't take personal responsibility for their thoughts, their actions, and their behaviors. I'm just not going to. Life is too short to live that way. And yet, there is help out there. If you're struggling with something, there is help. But you know what? You got to actually do the work. And, we've talked about this in terms of business even. I'll use sales because I'm in sales. But, if you want to make a sale, you got to open your mouth and tell somebody. And if you don't, you're not going to make a sale. And if somebody shows interest, guess what? You got to follow up. Maybe 5 times, maybe 12 times. I don't know how many times, but you got to follow up if you're going to make the sale. It doesn't just happen. With any discipline. How much more with your sexual intimacy that you're with people. We live in a society that violates children left and right sexually. And I know some of you don't want to hear it. Some of you are okay with it. But infant baby rape is very common in the underground and in these dark, dark places on the internet. Babies are being sacrificed literally, as well as, in that horrific way. And I can tell you, I read books when I was in training as a therapist. I had to read stuff that I wish I'd never read because now I got these horrible things in my mind about how evil man is. And it all goes down to the flesh. And, it's a complete violation of who God created us. And like I said in my teaser video to promote the show, why is it that marriage is under attack? Well, in part of what Randall was talking about earlier. But I like to say this, and I actually was sitting in a room a number of years ago. It was on Blog Talk Radio, and there was a pastor in there. And I said, it's because we are the only creation that God made in his image. And the pastor's like, wow, I never thought of that. And I'm like, well, what the heck seminary did you ever go to or read? Did you read the Bible? I mean, hello. Woman, let's think about that for a minute. Women is the crown of God's creation. We are the last thing that God created. So isn't it interesting that womanhood has been attacked probably more than anything in the history of the world? And I don't say that lightly. Abortion is a massive attack on women because it not only destroys the baby that woman is carrying, leaves her makes her a mother with a dead child, which I know you don't like, people don't like to hear it that way, but it's true. But our femininity, has been attacked, because all of a sudden men can't work and provide for the family, and the mockery from the left about, well, you want me barefoot and pregnant and all this other stuff. What's wrong with being barefoot and pregnant, people? I'm just curious. What's wrong with that? I mean, is it horrible that a woman want to get pregnant, be barefoot, and actually make dinner for her family? I mean, seriously. I mean, a woman's right to choose. Why can't she have a right to choose that, huh? I mean, seriously. I'm not advocating slavery. I'm advocating God made women nurturers and raisers. Yes, he gave us brains. That's for sure. I know a lot. I met a woman today. This was actually kind of cool. Where we live in Spring Hill, we had a meeting called Experience Spring Hill, and it was basically a big business networking community event. And one of the women that I met was a doctor, a general practitioner, tall, beautiful, woman. And I talked to her for a little bit. I said to her, "You're a firstborn, aren't you?" And she said, "Yeah, I am." I said, "I'm so glad." I just knew, because most doctors are. But anyway, that woman had a right to go to medical school if she wanted to. I had a right to go to college if I want to, but I can also have children if I want to. It doesn't change who I am as a woman if I want to stay home and have kids. But, a whole bunch of stuff took place and all that. So, but speaking of that, though, let's go ahead and get to this video.
Well, I just one more thing here, and it leads into.
Wait for Randall to
it leads
do something.
into the video. You talked about, womanhood being attacked, and that's more so in recent years. I mean, with the objectification of women, and like never before. I mean, beginning with the pin-ups of the mid 40s into what it's become today. I don't even know what it's become today, but I saw, BC what pornography was in like the 70s and 80s. So I can't imagine today.
Yeah.
But now we've got the whole transgender thing with the men identifying women, they're destroying women's sports.
Right.
Because, there's. And
that infuriates me. And that really does infuriate me.
That's an attack on women in a big way.
Yeah, women are being constantly attacked. But you know what? The feminist women out there, they don't say anything. It's like, whatever, who cares? I'm like, what the heck happened to you? Well, okay, wait. Before you go to the video, let me say something. You guys know that I am a lady of justice. Yeah, you do. Right there. See, that's my card. And my mission statement is this: to help improve lives with our services and provide women the opportunity and environment to build their belief and confidence, step into their greatness and power, control their lives, and create choices and live a purposeful life. And we also add on that and own our seat at the table. Okay? This happens to be my table here. Well, not kidding. Actually, it literally is my table. But anyway, that's part of the reason I love Legal Shield, is because Legal Shield, after 46 years or something, finally decided to emphasize how to sell this insurance that helps everybody from a feminine perspective so that women can learn about it, And so I think that's a good thing in 2019. After all, this is, we're not in the dark ages. And something today I want to just point out, if you're not familiar with Legal Shield, one of the Legal Shield is $24.95 a month, and it's personal legal insurance. We also offer it for businesses, but here's one thing that we give with it that most people don't think about, and that is a will. Right now, why is it we train our culture when a woman is pregnant, we all of a sudden, oh my gosh, let's have a baby shower. Yay. I mean, for normal people who want their babies to not kill them. So, we have a baby shower, we throw a little party, we do a gender reveal, which is a new thing, I guess. Hey, is it a girl or boy? Pop the blue and, oh, it's red, yay, or whatever it is. We do these gender reveals, we go shopping, we get the little feet, little cute stuff, and and all that. We rejoice. We read baby books. We pick out a baby name. We do all this stuff associated with a baby, but no one ever prepares us for when we leave this world. Now, as Christians, our number one priority is to share the gospel so that when we actually do physically leave this world, we're going to the right place. That would be heaven, people. Just so you know, heaven. That's where you want to go, not hell. I know some people debate, does hell really exist? Yeah, it does. Okay? But so the goal is to go to heaven. And the church, we do spiritually try to get people there, point them to Jesus. He is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by him, right? Okay? But we don't talk about estate planning. We don't talk about how to prepare a family, for the death of your mom or your dad. And you know what? I've had my mom die 17 years ago. My mom died. I was a young woman when that happened. My dad, I don't know how many years my dad has. He'll be 91 next week. I'm sure it's going to be within the next decade. I venture to guess. He wants to live to be 100, so, he probably will. He's in good enough shape to probably do that. But the point is, I have to go somewhere to learn, like, well, what do I do? How do I set up a plot for my dad? How do I, does he want to be cremated? Yeah, he does, actually. What are the benefits to getting, a burial plot ahead of time? Nobody ever talks to us about that stuff. But you know what? With Legal Shield, one part of that is that you get a will. And so we're trying to empower you by giving you something that is affordable and that will help you to prepare your future. That's part of what I do. It's educate. In fact, somebody today told me, when I see you, I think of you as an educator. And I'm like, good job. I'm glad, because that's why I exist, is to educate you. Whether or not you agree with me or not, that's debatable. Feel free to disagree. It's okay. But, I try my best to give you the options and to make you think about stuff that unfortunately most people don't want to think about. We get this scary thing. Oh my gosh, there's a mortuary. Yeah, there is. Because you know why? Somebody dies every day. So they exist, So anyway, if you need a will, then get in touch with me, because I can set you up. If you need identity theft protection, which you should get, by the way, then I can set you up with that. We can talk about that later. Ariel Ministries is also our sponsor, in case you're not reading down there below. One of our, Ariel just loves us, and we love them. You can go to ariel.org and save 20% when you use that coupon code Bible News. On anything in their store on the web there. This is Bible teaching from a Messianic Jewish perspective. Make sure you go there, check them out. Even if you're buying just an MP3 or something, you can still use that code and save a couple of cents even. Okay? And also, lastly but not least, certainly, if you like what we do, and yeah, I know I'm not the Hagmans, I'm not like super serious, sorry, I'm not scowly, I'm also not, some of these other stuff shirts. Yeah, they are. I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean I'm me. I have great hair. I'm a girl. One of the few out here, by the way, who's stable. And I have to tell you that if you want to support our show financially, you can. You can become a pillar of our community. Yeah, you can. In fact, go to BibleNewsRadio.com/give and you can give there. Or what's that other website? What is it? Something. It's scrolling on here somewhere.
Yeah.
Give, send, go. There we go. GiveSendGo.com/Bible News Radio. I actually put our story over there. And we're trying to get a certain amount of money. I can't remember what it is. But if you want to donate over there, feel free, people. Remember the Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I'm giving to my little heart's content right now. Because I actually love this and care about you people. Okay, so with that said, now let's look at this video from Matt Walsh when he was speaking at the Young America's Foundation. Yeah, and it's titled "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." Walsh absolutely wrecks the entire transgender argument. So let's go ahead and listen to this, because I think it's kind of interesting. It's about 4 minutes.
How precisely does a biological male come to the conclusion that he is really a woman? How does this process work? If he arrives at this conclusion based on the fact that he feels like a woman, how does he know what it feels like to be a woman if he's not one?
Yeah. How does he know?
Is it not circular logic to say that he knows what it feels like to be a woman because he feels like one and therefore is one? That's a circular logic. That makes no sense. What exactly is a female feeling? Maybe some of the ladies here can help me out with that.
It's a hot flash, people.
Even if it made sense to speak of female feelings and female thoughts, and even if it were possible for a man to know that he was experiencing one, why would that mean that he is a woman instead of just a feminine man? We used to have those. Those used to exist. The left tells us that gender is a social construct. They reject the idea that women must necessarily have any particular feeling or thought or taste or preference. So if gender is an artificial construct and our physical features have no bearing on our identity as male, as man or woman, then what the hell is a woman anyway?
Yeah.
A woman in that case would not be defined by her feelings, her thoughts, her ideas, her preferences, her body, her reproductive organs, her DNA, her chromosome. Well, what is she defined by? What is she?
Gina,
Can anyone answer that?
Yeah.
See, when a man says that he's a woman, he's now made it so that that phrase means nothing. It doesn't mean anything to be a woman.
We should be outraged, people.
He might as well say that he's a who's a what's it or a thingamadoodle. It's just a word. It means nothing anymore.
I think I'm a jippy.
This is the real harm that this transgenderism nonsense has caused. Not only does it foment confusion in the minds of children, but it also cheapens womanhood by turning it into some kind of abstract concept that we theorize about. So you women in the audience, you're not even people. You're just these abstractions.
Now I know.
According to the LGBT folks.
I had no idea. Darn it.
Or, if not that, then womanhood is a costume that you can put on and wear.
Yep, every day.
This is especially ironic given the concern for cultural appropriation that you find these days. If it is appropriation for a white man to dress like a black man, is it not appropriation for a man to dress like a woman? Why doesn't anyone ever talk about female appropriation? That is real appropriation. You've got women, you go to a drag show, you've got men dancing around in women's clothes, making a mockery and a parody of womanhood. It is like a female minstrel show. It is female blackface. And feminists just sit back and take it. Most of the time. Speaking of irony, the left for so long has tried to tear down gender constructs, but transgenderism only enforces the constructs that they were trying to tear down. We used to say that a boy who plays with dolls is girly, right? That's what we used to say. It was back in the bad old days. The way to tear down that construct is to say that, well, it's okay for a boy to be girly. Or you could say alternatively, that it's not girly to play with dolls. But a boy with dolls used to be girly. Now he's literally a girl, we say. If a boy who exhibits womanly characteristics is therefore a girl, then those gender constructs that the left was trying to tear down, they have just made those constructs into something far more potent or powerful than any conservative ever imagined that they could be. That's why I object to redefining gender.
Wow. Yeah. Well, here's what I always say, people. I always say this. If you want to be a woman, like if you want to be a man and you want to be a woman, then by virtue of the power invested in me by the state of my clear mind, I basically say that you have to wear a bra with your actual breasts, and you have to experience breast tenderness and heavy bleeding periods where you have big, huge blood clots come out of your body, and you have aching, crampy, like, type pain, just so you know. Yep. That's what real women go through, people. And you gotta have a uterus, just so you know. One of the things you really have to have in order to be a girl is a uterus. Not a penis, but a uterus, people. You know what I'm saying? So...
You know, well, the point he made at the end.
I know what the point is he made, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
No.
Your points are absolutely true. I mean...
Been there, done that, just saying.
Because there's got to be something objective about womanhood in order to be a thing. And exactly the point he was making, I'm not saying your point is good, but your point is spot on.
Thank you. I'm a woman. Hear me roar. Roar.
But the point that he was making, I've been saying for a long time. I find it humorous that these sexual anarchists are trying to tear down gender, you know, that it's a social...
They're trying to tear down this wall.
You know, they say, well, you know, masculinity, femininity, male, female, those are societal constructs. And the gender is, fluid can be... And yet, they say there's all these different genders, and yet when they express these genders, they're either masculine or feminine. They're not the third gender or the fifth gender or the seventh form normal gender, They're always expressed in masculine and femininity. Well, if those are social constructs, you can be whatever. Why don't you express something that isn't one of those, binary things that's either male or female? But that they always do. We find the same-sex couples. One exhibits a masculine role, one a feminine role. Be they two women, two men. It's like, oh, well, if you want to destroy all this gender stuff, stop conforming to it. Where they say we're gender nonconformists, we'll come up with a third gender. Stop. They can't, because there isn't a third gender. He made them male and female. There isn't a third or fourth or fifth or 20 genders and all their flags that go with it that you'll find on the interwebs. It's just...
When we were married 27 years ago, did you ever think in a million gazillion trillion years we would be talking about this type of stuff?
No, I
didn't either.
I knew it was there and it was on the right, but to get to where people say this stuff with a straight face now, and some people actually believe it when they say it.
Why, I don't know. But I will tell you, going here into our last half hour of this show, I want to read you guys an article, and this is good news. This is the LGBT one, Randall. The young are regarded as the most tolerant generation. That's why the results of this LGBTQ survey are alarming.
From that far right wing resource, USA Today. Mm-hmm. Which is nothing but typically mainstream. So just out of curiosity, propaganda.
How many of you have heard about the Accelerating Acceptance Report? Have you heard of this, people? Accelerating Acceptance. Yes, this is what we're all about on Bible News Radio. We're about accelerating the acceptance of biblical morality and what the Bible talks about. I'm going to read just a little bit about this. This is not on there, Randall, but I will just want to read the background to, quote, the Accelerating Acceptance 2019 report, which says 50 years after the Stonewall Uprising, the LGBTQ community has a great reason to celebrate the many advancements that have created greater visibility and legal protections for LGBTQ Americans, but the fight for 100% acceptance is far from over. Last year, the Accelerating Acceptance Index, a national survey among U.S. adults conducted on GLAAD's behalf by the Harris Poll, saw an erosion in LGBTQ acceptance, although this year's index reports that the drop in LGBTQ acceptance has been stemmed. A growing number of young people ages 18 to 34 report being less comfortable around LGBTQ people in certain personal situations. At the same time, the Trump administration continues to attack the LGBTQ community through discriminatory policies and targeted rhetoric, and LGBTQ Americans are becoming more vulnerable to hate crimes and violence, which GLAAD documents here. GLAAD's Accelerating Acceptance Report provides us with an urgent reminder that LGBTQ people and allies should continue to remain visible and vigilant on the fight for 100% acceptance of LGBTQ people. Okay, so that's the backgrounder. Now let's read this article titled, "The Young Are Regarded as the Most Tolerant Generation. That's why results of this LGBTQ survey are alarming." All right. So young people are growing less tolerant of LGBTQ individuals, a jarring turn for a generation traditionally considered embracing and open, a survey released Monday shows. The number of Americans 18 to 34 who are comfortable interacting with LGBTQ people slipped from 53% in 2017 to 45% in 2018. The only age group to show a decline, according to the annual Accelerating Acceptance Report, that is down from 63% in 2016. So that's pretty cool, in my opinion. Driving the dilution of acceptance are young women whose overall comfort levels plunged from 64% in 2017 to 52% in 2018, says the survey conducted by the Harris Poll on behalf of the LGBTQ advocacy group GLAAD. We count on the narrative that young people are more progressive and tolerant, John Gersma, CEO of the Harris Poll, told USA Today. These numbers are very alarming and signal a looming social crisis and discrimination. Don't you love that? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a looming social crisis and discrimination. Yeah, there is, people. Can you believe it? It's looming. It's social. It's crisis. Discrimination. Yeah, it is. Can you feel the dark cloud coming over your head right now? It's a looming social crisis and discrimination, people. Yeah, it is. Just so you know, watch out. The dark cloud's going to come over your head because it's a looming social crisis and discrimination.
Just real quick.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, kind of mocking it right now, but...
Rightly so. this whole discrimination. Oh, it's so discriminatory. Ads of yesteryear used to talk about the discriminating buyer. Discriminate means to select between things. Imagine going to, the produce section of a supermarket.
I discriminate what type of bananas to buy.
Exactly. There's fresh one, there's some black ones with flies going around it. Oh, you didn't buy the rotten bananas. You're so discriminatory.
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
I have discriminating tastes, people.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
Okay.
Anyway, back to you.
Back to me. Okay. Among the findings, 36% of young people say they were uncomfortable learning a family member was LGBTQ, compared with 29% in 2017. Okay. 34% were uncomfortable learning their doctor was LGBTQ versus 27% a year earlier. So, see, notice that these numbers are increasing. That's a good thing. Okay. So, it must be Donald Trump's fault, people. Yeah, it may be. No, I doubt it, but 39% were uncomfortable learning their child had a school lesson on LGBTQ history versus 30% in 2017. Now, to me, that's amazing because
Indeed.
Most parents are like, well, I can't say that. Some parents in the public schools, they're like, whatever, snooze bill. I get a break from my child for however many hours they're there. So it says here, young people's discomfort rises with LGBTQ. Percentage of non-LGBTQ population by age bracket uncomfortable with learning a family member is LGBTQ. Having a child placed in a class with an LGBTQ teacher. Learning a doctor is LGBTQ. And learning a child had LGBTQ history lessons in school, which are all propaganda, by the way. So that's documented. And it's really interesting, Randall. I don't know. I think I probably told you this, but I remember when I was in 8th grade, and I don't know if they still do this today because I don't have children, and anybody out there who's in the audience, if you do and let me know. But do they still make you dress out in gym? Like you had to go to PE, physical education. Yeah. You had to go to the locker room, get undressed, get in your PE clothes, and then go out and play or whatever it was, right?
Right.
Well, I remember that.
Run laps, do tug of war, or whatever.
Yeah, at the middle school I went to two, but at one of them in particular, there was a female PE teacher who would come in to our locker room to supervise the women or the girls that were in there changing, as she was rumored to be a lesbian. And I remember, I remember this to this day for some reason about that woman. And I don't know if she was or not, but I remember everybody talked about it. It was like, how could she be in there watching all these girls get undressed and
because
she's
a female?
Yeah, I know, but, if she was a lesbian, that would have, bothered me. I clearly remember it. But anyway, the article goes on to say, tolerance takes a hit. Americans less accepting of LGBT people in 2017. The negative shift for the young is surprising, said Sarah Kate Ellis, GLAAD president and CEO. When GLAAD delved into the numbers, the group found that the younger generation was coming in contact with more LGBT people, particularly individuals who are non-binary and don't identify simply as lesbian or gay. This newness they are experiencing could be leading to this erosion. It's a newness that it takes time for people to understand. Our job is to educate about nonconformity, she said. The irony here is that you already know what I'm going to say.
I hope so. I mean,
So the irony is that it's all about nonconformity, right?
Right.
But all they're doing is trying to conform to the nonconformity.
right. You must conform to.
Getting sleepy, people.
Yeah, you must conform
Please
to
conform right now,
our view of nonconformity.
or else. It's so stupid.
It's like everybody's entitled to our opinion.
You are. You're entitled to our opinion. That's why you tune into our show.
You know, we have to celebrate diversity, and people have different views and different expressions, and what, you don't agree?
There's unity in diversity, though. Don't you know that?
Yeah, it's like, wait, you don't agree with this LGBT propaganda? That's not right. You've got to conform. You can't be diverse in that way. It's so blatantly
Stupid.
yes,
Yeah, it is.
and
But
hypocritical
how dare you say that, though? You're such a privileged white man in America.
yeah.
Yeah, you are. All right. Toxic culture 50 years after Stonewall. The survey results come during Pride 2019 and on the eve of the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, which sparked the LGBTQ rights movement. Now think about it. A riot sparked the movement, people. What sparked the Christian movement? Just think about that. They also had a dark hour politically and culturally for the LGBTQ community amid a rise in inflammatory rhetoric and dozens of policy setbacks, such as a ban on transgender people in the military. That is one good thing Trump did. And religious exemption laws that can lead to discrimination. That is another good thing. Ellis and Gersma said both are likely force behind the Young's pushback on tolerance, they said.
Okay. Just think about the scapegoating here.
Okay.
All right, think about occupy this or that, occupy Wall Street, occupy whatever, set up our tent cities and defecate on public land and whatever, occupy this and, push back against and, Trump, and he's the embodiment of all things evil and death to Trump, and where we're so anti that. Well, see, these young people, and what it probably is things like transgender, ban on the military, and the stuff that the far right is doing is influencing these young people, and that's probably what's the likely force behind the Young's pushback on tolerance, is that they're being completely, influenced by those that we're telling them are anti-everything, and the mainstream media has gone on a rampage denouncing everything, remotely conservative.
Where are these young people beginning to hear stuff, though? Could it be like on Bible News Radio?
But they
are they stumbling upon the alternative media with a point of view they thought they hated, and then they were like, hey, these nice people, wow, I like them. They're kind of sweet and lovable.
But here they cite, Trump administration policies as, this is likely the force behind the ones that they denounce. They say are out of step, don't have anything to do with anything, and, the embodiment of evil, blah, blah, it's insignificant, way out of step, they're, isolated, whatever. And then when things aren't going their way, it's probably these, these policies about, prohibiting transgenders in the military and religious exemption laws. That's the likely force behind the pushback.
Well, the article goes on to say the young are bombarded by hate speech, which would just so you know, the hate speech they're talking about is what me and Bareface are just saying right now. Okay, that's hate speech. So everything Bareface just said is hateful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
Anyway, on social platforms, from viral videos to mean tweets, our toxic culture is enveloping young people. It instills fear, alienation, but also permissibility that could sway impressionable young minds on what is acceptable. Now, the irony of that, That's gotta kill you. I mean, seriously, because these are the knuckleheads who are like trying to indoctrinate kindergartners into the gay lifestyle. Just saying. Oh gosh, they're so impressionable. Oh no, they're not. They're seriously, their brains are fully developed at 5 years old. Just so you know, they can think clearly on their own. Yeah, they can.
Our toxic culture is developing. Yeah, it is with the filth and the smut that goes on, but it's funny, somebody will tweet or post something like "Make America Great Again," go Trump, and there'll be 30 posts on "You backward." Bleepity bleep bleep bleep. We've been friends for years, but now I'm gonna have to unfriend you. I'm blocking all your stuff because if you're gonna promote this stuff, we can't be friends anymore. I can't see you anymore.
But we both have Bichon Frises.
Yeah, so. I don't care. You said something positive about Trump. I can't be seen or associated with you in any way, form, shape, whatever. But it's this fear and alienation that coming from these. Anyway.
Wait. Let me finish this article.
Yes, please.
And there is a more menacing side. Ellis said, "We are seeing a stark increase in violence in the community. GLAAD has documented more than 40 incidences of LGBTQ hate violence since January 1st. Now,
corroborated?
Well, this is the thing I'm wondering, because there's been so many fake hate crimes produced by a homosexual community against themselves that, if they were honest, they'd be like, yeah, we did it to ourselves. That's what we did. That guy from that show Empire, remember that guy? Whatever his mug's name was, you know what I'm talking about. Jesse, whatever his mug.
Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Smollett. Yeah, that scoundrel. Who somehow got off. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah, more than 40 incidents. Well, tell me. Bring them to the forefront.
Well, it says
Scream
here,
them from the rooftops.
2 recent high-profile incidences. On June 16th, a young gay couple were assaulted outside a popular strip of bars in Washington, D.C., in what police are investigating as a hate crime. A few weeks earlier, a Detroit man was charged in a triple homicide in which 2 gay men and 1 transgender woman were deliberately targeted. Of course, it doesn't say by who. It's usually from in their community, just like Matthew Shepard, that whole thing, people. And there's a whole book written about it from a gay guy who actually exposed how the Matthew Shepard thing was all about him and drugs, had nothing to do with him being gay. In fact, if you recall, Elizabeth Vargas on 2020 actually reported it accurately, and the LGBT community went after her, and they had to remove that report off the TV set. But of course, no, we don't talk about that because God forbid that actually happened. Then it says here, the FBI released statistics in November showing a 17% increase in overall hate crimes in 2017. Of 7,175 reported crimes, more than 1,200 were based on sexual orientation or gender identity bias. Yeah, of course, I don't know what the actual results of those are, but I suppose if we actually had to guess, it would be like that big right there. And of course, we condemn it all because I don't think violence solves anything. But it's annoying as heck that, Well, I mean, you see, this is the thing. Rather than them accepting that the millennials are starting to wake up to reality, and get, oh my gosh, I'm older now. My brain is starting to get unthawed from all that indoctrination from me as a kid. Oh wow, the Bible. Huh. That book. Wait, hold on. Let me blow off the dust on it. Read it. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then you get born again. How cool is that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure all the clips have been taken out by now about all my hate speech and all that. But I want to make one thing clear. I've not called anybody names, anything like that.
Nope.
What I'm finding, what I'm being amused by here are ideas. And the ideas can be criticized.
Well, you're a middle-aged, crotchety, man. Yeah, you are. You're a man. I admit it. I know. I've seen you naked.
If I say I don't like that song or I don't like that painting, that's not an attack on the character of the artist.
Right.
Similar way, these ideas, I don't like these ideas because they're highly illogical. They don't add up, and they, like Walsh was saying, they circular reasoning, and they're just not intellectually honest or coherent. But every single person was made in the image of God. Stacy talked about that earlier.
I did.
Yeah, she did.
I was there.
Yeah, I know that you were. Anyway, I was here too. That's how I heard
And
it.
I will be here.
Yeah, you will. I'm glad for that. I'm thankful for that.
Yep.
Anyway, so yes, every person is made in the image of God, no matter how they express themselves, and they carry within them the intrinsic image of God that needs to be respected and honored because they are a human being made in God's image. So this isn't an attack on any individuals. Our Lord said, to not, return evil for evil.
Right.
To pray for those who spitefully, whatever,
Use
you, abuse
Right.
you, and pray
Right.
for those. Anyway, and so indeed, I do, and I love these folks. But yeah, look at some of these ideas. They're just, yeah.
Stupid? I know I use the word stupid a lot, but it kind of fits.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know you don't like it.
it's just, I just don't.
They're dumb? Dumb ideas.
Yeah, I just don't. Just the great effort that's done to perpetuate them has to make one wonder whether or not they're, actually valid. Anyway, go on.
Well, hey, people. It's almost time for this show to end.
Wow.
I know that, we decided to do it 90 minutes, which, the fact that most of you are still here who are our normal viewers, first of all, I have to say thank you for tuning in, people. You make us feel loved and special. Yeah, you do. If for some reason you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do that at youtube.com/Bible News Radio. Because of our recent Hagman coverage, we've picked up a couple of new subscribers, and I think there's somebody who is upset with us for some reason because they went through like 5 or 10 of our videos and hit down, dislike on them. I'm pretty sure they didn't watch them because it's really hard to dislike us. I mean, just saying. Well, I mean, there are people that do, but normal Christians don't. They actually like us, most of them. So I would request, if you are watching the show over on YouTube, feel free to hit that like button, and if you want to, hit the notifications and subscribe over there, you can do that too. If you're on Periscope, if you're not on Periscope, you can follow us on our Periscope channel, which is on Periscope, and Periscope is owned by Twitter, but it's periscope.tv/Bible News Radio. You have to download the Periscope mobile app and then just put Bible News Radio. I think we have like 5,900 followers or something.
You can watch online as well through the web interface.
Yeah, you can watch it on Twitter.
Hearts and give comments. No, even periscope.tv.
Oh, you can? Yeah, that's right.
You can give hearts and comments and all that, same as the app.
Yeah. And I want to thank you guys for commenting over on YouTube. That kind of makes me feel loved, Just, it gives us more energy to know that there's somebody actually watching. Even if you're a hater, I'm glad with that. That's good. Just keep commenting because, I don't mind talking to haters. I have a way of making them love me in the end. Yeah. It's a curse, but somehow I have it. Yep. In fact, when we were on Blog Talk Radio, we had an 800 line that people would call up and they would be like, rah, 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 rah. And by the end of the time, they'd be like, hey, I'm going to tune into you again. By the way, we do have a Facebook page also. It's, facebook.com/Bible News Radio. We're on Twitter at Bible News Radio. We have an email that you can sign up for at BibleNewsRadio.com. And the most important thing is our text message service. If you have a cell phone that can get text messages, that's where I do most of my communicating with our audience because email spams, most people don't open email. And text messages are short. I send out a scripture every day. Sometimes we do a contest, and I try to remember to send out a text right before our show. That way you can just go, oh yeah, she's going to be on right now. This is one topic that we're going to be talking about. So you can join our text messages by texting Bible News to 33222, which is, simple. Just put Bible News together, one word, 33222. Put that. And it's been scrolling down there at the bottom somewhere throughout the show. So if you haven't joined my text message list, that's the best place to do it. Then you'll get it. And you can respond. And I love it when you guys respond too. Just so you guys know, though, I can't see emojis and I can't see graphics with the textedly service because it's bare bones. That's why I can afford it. But they haven't made it where I can, like, if you respond with a smiley face or a thumbs up or something, I can't see it because it comes back garbled, and all that. But, if you want to stay in touch with us, that's the way to do it. I do try to answer everybody's email, text messages, phone calls, and people crack me up because they're like, I can't believe you called me back, or I can't believe you responded to my email. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Just so you know. Okay, also tomorrow night, Sunday night, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Again, we're going to be on tomorrow, Lord willing. That's our plan. So I hope you come back. I think Bareface is going to do a Bible study or, something like that, maybe in part. And then we might also do some news as well. Which also reminds me to ask you, if you're still here, what are some of the topics that you would like us to discuss, and or are you interested in us continuing our Bible study in 1 Peter that we were doing before we went to 3 days? So yeah, if you guys have a minute, we have about 5 minutes left. Give us some feedback. Let us know right now in the chat if you can, if you can tell us what topics would you like us to talk about. I mean, I have a direction I'm going. And, as far as Bible study, would you like us to continue our 1 Peter Bible study? So, okay, cool. Thank you, Mama Gina. And WD, yes, haters will hate. I definitely know that. And that's good. Hey, I don't mind my haters. I don't mind them. I mean, okay, so Melanie says, continue with 1 Peter. Let's see. Eric says, how to break opioid addiction. That's actually a good topic, Eric. I would say that, I will tell you, have you ever heard of June Hunt? Do you know who she is, Eric? Do you know who June Hunt is? Well, 2 Peter, we were going to do 2 Peter after we were going to finish 1 Peter. So we were going to do both books back to back. It just might take us longer because we only do this 3 days now. I know it's longer to answer. But if you don't know who June Hunt is, if you're as old as Randall is, you might remember the TV show Dallas. Dallas had Dallas, the TV show, was based on June Hunt's real family.
Larry Hagman played J.R. Ewing, and
yeah. June Hunt, yeah. Anyway, so June Hunt is she's a billionaire heiress, where she was an heiress to a billionaire fortune. Her family was in the oil business. I don't know if they still are or not, but anyway, she is the founder of Hope for the Heart. And if you go to hopefortheheart.org, you can learn more about her ministry. I love her. She's like one of my mentors in terms of biblical counseling. She has a ton of free resources on her website, and I know she covers addiction in that. But she also has a radio show called Hope in the Night, because she's a night owl, and she will take callers that call in, and she will biblically counsel them right there on the show. And she'll do a whole show with one person. I mean, she doesn't do like Dr. Laura used to do, like talk to you for 2 seconds and tell you how messed up you are. So yeah, in fact, I don't know I'm not signed in, but I will sign in right now because I have a minute to do that. And I will type her website up. I recommend her. I interviewed her numerous times on our show in the past. She's like probably one of the most prominent Christian radio talk show hosts in modern evangelicalism, actually. Let's see here. I'm logged in, but now where's my commenting? Where can I comment at? Let's see. I'll go over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put in this. So Hope for the Heart, heart.org. Her website is awesome. I mean, she's got a ton of stuff there. Okay, Gina. Beth, I don't know if anybody is losing anybody else. I haven't actually lost connection at all on Periscope, which is odd because usually I do. But yeah, if you go to hopefortheheart.org, she has they're like one sheets that give counsel from a very biblical perception, a biblical worldview. And they're just really good to have. I mean, just that hand. But also, you could probably go through some of her radio archives if you just wanted to hear how a real biblical counselor actually counsels. I mean, I've done that on this show numerous times because that's my background. But, you know, I love her resources and they're really good. So that's just the place to go. And of course, I could probably call her up and say, hey, June, come on my show and let's talk about drug addiction and how to break that, you know. And you know, it's interesting, Eric. One of the things that I would, I've been thinking a lot about, and this could be a future topic as well, is the prevalence of CBD oil, you know, and the use of marijuana, right? And how that is actually being used now. I mean, it's kind of controversial, so I'm gonna write that down as a potential topic. My throat is very dry. I'm out of water. Tomorrow night, 2 bottles of water. Anyway, any other topics before we log out, people? I know our time is I think it's pretty much up. All right. Well, here's the thing. If you think of it, leave a comment or email me or text me or tweet me. I mean, I'm not hard to find, okay? And remember, as I always say at the end of every show, be bold, stand up, and go with God because he loves you. Yeah, he does. And we'll see you tomorrow, okay? Have a good night.